All right, welcome back. This week I have another great topic for you. So, we're talking all about how to make loose leash walking a little bit more easier. If you're out there, if you're struggling with your dog pulling, if they're stalling on walks, or just in general, I want to give you some tips to make it a little bit easier for you and your dog. So, let's hop right into it. All right. So, first things first, before you even bring your dog out for a walk, you want to dress them for success. And what that means is think about the equipment when we're talking about leashes, harnesses, and stuff, things that are going to actually help you on the walk. So, you want to make sure that the equipment that you're using is actually going to be beneficial to helping reduce your dog's pulling on a walk and also making sure they have a great walk. So, ideally, if you're taking your dog on a walk and they are a puller, you want to try to attempt to use a front clipped harness. So what that means is that the harness is clipped in the front chest area here opposed to in the back. Ideally, the harnesses that clip in the back area here makes your dog want to pull more. But if you get the harness that clips in the front chest area, it reduces their pulling. So if you have a dog that pulls on walks, to make your walk a little bit more easier, you may want to invest in a harness that has a front clip on it. There are some harnesses out there that do have the dual clip. So if you do have a dual clip harness, or if you don't know, check your dog's harness. If it clips in the front area here, that means you have a front clip harness. My personal favorite is the Easy Walk brand harness. Just because it's a nice fit. It doesn't really shape under the arms and things like that too much. But again, you want to choose what's appropriate for your dog's breed as well. So take that into consideration. Another thing you can also go with is a gentle leader or a head halter, right? So a lot of times I get asked the question, what's the difference between a harness, gentle leader, head halter? I sometimes, I hear if I have my dog have it on, people think it's a muzzle when it's not. So a gentle leader, which you'll see is just a little gentle lead around the dog's nose. And ideally, the big difference between the harness, which is on the chest area, and a gentle leader or the head halter, which is on the nose, is the harness will control your dog from the chest back, and the gentle leader or the head halter controls your dog from the muzzle back. So the big difference is sometimes dogs need a little bit more control on the walk, so therefore you can use the head halter or the gentle leader. Sometimes you can just suffice with just the harness. So first tip is just make sure that you have the right equipment when you're going out for a walk with your dog. Also, you want to make sure before you go out, know the area that you're going on a walk with your dog. Usually it's in your neighborhood, but maybe you're going somewhere different. Ideally, if you have a dog that is pulling on walks, you want to take them to an area where there's not as many distractions around, so they're not trying to pull and it's not like so enticing. So whether that's in your neighborhood, going out at times where it's not as many dogs, or if you're going to go out and about with your dog, maybe going on a trail walk opposed to, going to a dog park or somewhere where it may be a little bit more busy. So just going in an environment where there's not as many distractions, your dog will be less likely to pull. And also going back to equipment again, let's talk about leashes a little bit. So ideally, you can use a short leash when you're walking your dog. You can use a longer leash when you're walking your dog. If your dog is pulling on walks, to make it a little bit easier, if you think about it, ideally, when we take our dogs out for a walk, right, we would think about taking our dog out for exercise and things like that. But ideally, in a dog's world, dogs are outside more so for enrichment, to smell, to sniff, and things like that. It's us humans that want them to go out for a walk for exercise, but they're more into like smelling to environment. And if you have a dog that's sniffing in general, again, they're going to have a tendency to pull, and you may want to use a longer leash just to give them more leeway and more flexibility so they can like explore and things like that. Sometimes I do find giving a dog a little bit more rope on the leash, they tend to pull less. But at the same time, if you're walking in your neighborhood, say you live on a bit busier street, you want to use a shorter leash because that's going to help guide and control your dog a little bit better. So at the same time, with my dogs in general, dogs I train, I always say, you have a 6-foot leash, have a 4 or 5-foot leash. Anything longer may be too much. So, those are generally the two that I go with. All right. moving on back to sniffing again. Like I said, to make your walks a little bit more easier, allow your dogs to sniff, especially the puppies. Okay, they do need to explore, to get out there to learn the world. But again, if you have an older dog, you want to give them time to sniff. If you're taking your dog on a walk and your dog's definitely a sniffer, I guarantee you, if you just stop and instead of encouraging them to go and let them sniff for like at least 30 seconds and then say, okay, come on, let's go, your walks will go a lot smoother and you'll notice a lot less pulling as well. Again, most of the dogs are on walks for mental enrichment, to sniff, to explore. It's us humans who may want them to get out for that physical exercise. Which brings me to the next one is, if you're taking your dog out for a walk, right? Keep that in mind. You're taking your dog out for a walk. So let your dog decide actually where they want to go for the walk. So immediately when you start walking, if you have a certain route that you go on, say you usually go right and your dog wants to go left, go left. I guarantee you it may decrease some of the pulling. It may not resolve all of it, but just letting your dog dictate the walk. Because again, you're taking the dog for a walk. So it's his time to kind of explore and do what he wants. I always say, when it comes down to walking your dog, let your dog go wherever they want, belongs they're not getting in trouble, which means belongs they're not like running off, not listening, belongs they're not pulling, or belongs they're not barking and things. Kind of let them explore, and that will help decrease the pulling as well. And last but not least, you rather be safe than sorry. So just in case, I always say, if you have a dog that's pulling or a dog that's unfocused, bring treats out on a walk with you, and get them, and have your dog focus on you using treats along the way, keeping them there, and start some loose leash walking. That's always going to be good to make your walks a little bit easier, just to start training that if they haven't already. But say you have started training your dog loose leash walking and they're pulling, you can use treats out on a walk with you to keep them as distracted. And just to give you a little training tip, right? So if you're bringing treats out with you on a walk, you want to use treats that's going to be different from what you're actually using indoors, because you have to remember, you're battling against the outside environment here. So you're battling with the other dogs, you're battling with the smells and stuff. So just plain old kibble or just random treats aren't going to suffice. I'm always a big fan of using some type of smelly treats, whether it's liver, whether it's salmon. You can use cheese sticks, hot dogs. They don't have to be cooked. Boiled chicken are all higher value treats that will be a better competition for the outside world out there. All right. So I hope these tips helped you, you know, gave you some ideas for having a better walk with your dog. And just to wrap it up a little bit, as a reminder, equipment first, using a no-pull harness, a gentle leader, or a head halter to help reduce the pulling on walks. Again, using a 4-foot or a 6-foot leash, giving your dog more freedom to explore so they're not pulling as much, allowing your dog to sniff a little bit more so they're not like pulling the sniff and things like that. Just kind of leisurely walking and just, giving your dog a time to explore. And also giving your dog the choice of where they actually want to walk and not guiding the walk so they can explore a little bit more. And last but not least, fabulous treats to keep your dog from being so distracted, and also keeping them a little bit closer. All right. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you gained some valuable tips to make your walks a little bit easier for your dog. If you weren't able to catch this live, or you want to catch me if you're driving or wherever, maybe working from home, catch me on all the podcasts, whether it's Spotify, Stitcher, on Positive Dog Training Convos. And as always, if you've been following me for a while, I'm very good at answering questions. So if you have any, drop them in the comments there. But other than that, enjoy your week, and I'll see you next week with another great topic. All right. Bye.